Dun 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 dun. Here is the truth. Dun 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 dun. This is the truth. It's still called that. Right. Here's today's news. It's quite dominated by this image. No matter what paper you're looking at, you will be looking at a photograph taken by Bradley Cooper, the actor, of a lot of other famous people. You have to scrutinise them a bit to sort of know who they are. But like, what's interesting about this is really all they want to do is print a photograph of famous people, so they have to go, the truth about Oscar's selfie that made Twitter. What is the truth about? I mean, how did this? I mean, what's going on? Well, I think it's pretty self-evident that someone held up a camera and lots of famous people stood in the background. I mean, a famous person, Bradley Cooper, I believe, is holding it. And then there's lots of other famous people there. I don't think there's any more to it than that. There's less to it than that, actually. And then The Guardian, see, look, I'm thinking about The Guardian, I like sort of, like if I was to choose a newspaper that I've got an allegiance to, it would be The Guardian. I've written in The Guardian, I think of it as sort of kind or something, Edward Snowden thing that it done. But look, it's still talking about the same sort of rubbish. I mean, it's still, like Daily Mail, like where's the real choice? This is what I sort of mean about like sort of like the cultural and political sphere. Was A-list selfie just a stunt for the sponsors? It almost certainly was, actually, because the next day there was a tweet from Ellen saying, you know, oh, I've got a Galaxy phone. Would you like a Galaxy phone? And notice here it was a Galaxy phone. So, I mean, the Daily Mail is actually right. There is a truth behind that, and the truth is that it's that it was probably a staged corporate event, which is a shame because I suppose like of these people, have I ever met any of them? I mean, I know Ellen. I've met Ellen. She's a sort of a nice person, but she has a chat show, so she'll get, you know, and the talk show is sponsored, like, and will have a relationship with companies like Samsung, and so yeah, I guess this, right. So even this, like, that's because the thing about it, I suppose, like the selfie phenomena is we can all do it. Even this now is shot on very accessible. Even this is shot on accessible technology. So I suppose we find it appealing that that these Hollywood actors are accessible, but of course they are all just ordinary people. And really, I suppose what this is a story about is becoming clear. Is that behind the bonhomie of the photograph, behind the jocundity of the Oscar ceremony itself, jocundity, the sort of the glamour, the glitz, it's like, really, it's just selling us constantly an idea. And like, you know, like, so, and it's not like you can just sell products, you need to sell the entire context for products. You have to sell the concept of glamour, you have to sell the whole thing. So it's like, so that the movies, the newspaper, all of it creates a frequency of consciousness that's constantly spellbinding you into a state where a Galaxy phone seems like a good idea. So like really all of it, like everything that we sort of, whatever we're reading about, whether it's the Ukraine or the Hollywood selfie or breast cancer awareness, which is really sort of light pornography, is a particular frequency of consciousness is being consistently broadcast at us. One that sort of is distracting and diverting. I'm frightened when I read about the Ukraine. I'm stimulated and titillated by this Hollywood image and Bradley Cooper and Ellen. I like looking at women's. If like any point of the day women's boobs are put in front of my face, if someone came here now, I'd stop thinking about Confucius and this information about how to manage staying in alignment with a frequency of consciousness that might be more beneficial to you. Right, so this is like some ancient Chinese wisdom thing. Do you want a bit of ancient Chinese wisdom? The story of Butcher Ding is perhaps best known and most vividly, and the best known and most vivid portrayal of Wu Wei in early Chinese tradition. Wu Wei is not being all caught up in material stuff, being in the flow of the universe. The butcher has been called upon to play his part in a traditional religious ceremony involving the sacrifice of an ox in a public space with the ruler and a large crowd looking on. This is a major religious event. The butcher Ding is at centre stage. Now let's not get into questioning having a butcher centre stage at a large public event and that his name's Ding. It's ancient China. Don't be so racist. You're a racist for even worrying about it. In this ritual, the still smoking metal is brought freshly from the foundry and cooled with the blood of a sacrificial animal. And again, let it go. A procedure that demands precise timing and perfect execution. Butcher Ding dismembers the massive animal with effortless grace. Every touch of his hand, every bending of his shoulder, every step of his feet, every thrust of his knee. He guides his blade along it perfectly in tune. Lord Wenhu is amazed and is moved to exclaim, "How wonderful, can skill really teach such heights?" Butcher Ding puts down his cleaver and replies, "What I, your humble servant, care about is the way, the Tao, which goes beyond mere skill." He then explains the situation. When I first began cutting up oxen, as a child, the little bastard, all I could see was the ox itself. After 3 years, I no longer saw the ox as a whole, and now I meet it with my spirit, and I don't look with my eyes. My senses and conscious awareness have shut down, and my spiritual desires take me away. I follow the heavenly pattern of the ox, thrusting into the big hollows, guiding the knife through the big openings, and adapting my motions to the fixed structure of the ox. In this way, I never touch the smallest ligament or tendon, much less the main joint. The result is, Butcher Ding is not cutting up the ox as releasing its constituent parts, letting the razor-sharp edge of his cleaver move through the spaces between the bones and ligaments without encountering the slightest resistance. What he's saying, I suppose, is this bloke, through spiritual and meditative practice, has entered into the flow of the universe and can move through life effortlessly, not coming up against resistance. Now, you could argue, I certainly was as a vegetarian, for the fact that he's using this great God-given ability to chop up oxes. It's a terrible waste and actually quite cruel, but the metaphor is that we have to align our consciousness with truthful energies, and if we do, we'll move more effortlessly and gracefully through life, through the universe. It'll be difficult for us to move effortlessly and gracefully through life if the information and the way that we contextualise our life is like mad. Look, it's mad. What's going on? It doesn't make sense. None of this stuff makes sense. It's ridiculous. Look at Roy Hodgson. What are we going to do? We've got to find a way to transcend this information. Otherwise, I think we're going to be in an awful lot of trouble. Dun, 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 dun. That was some truths. Dun, 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 dun. The truth this morning. Thank you. Dun, dun.